America, my name is Osei-Frimpong, and I've been very busy today. I was speaking at a high school today. They let me in, which is always dangerous because last year they let me into a junior high, and then a week later, would you believe that the kids walked out? But today I spoke at a high school, then I did my regular class thing, and I tried to prepare a decent show because we're going to go over police, and that's always a ticklish issue, the relationship between police and freedom. That's always a ticklish issue, but we need police if we're going to be free, but we also need to protest police if we're going to be free. The problem is that we have a shallow understanding of freedom. It's not quite clear why we need the police to be free or why we need to protest the police if we need the police, and all of that. I'm going to clear it up, and we're going to do it to a funky beat. Matthew, give it to me.
To the beat, y'all. Yeah. Sound good to me. Never change the ways for the world or the government. If I was the president, then I would state facts. You leave it up to me, I paint the White House black and it can feature in your front.
Hello, Matthew the Haven Bug. Hello, I'm back. So, we're going to talk about police, and we're going to talk about why we need police to be free. There's a reason why you don't want to watch professional basketball without referees. The players won't go as hard, and there's also a reason why you want 5 fouls instead of 1. Imagine what would happen to professional basketball if you got 1 foul, you were out for the rest of the season. Imagine what would happen to the game. It would completely transform the game. I'm going to make all of this make sense systematically because I'm a systematic philosopher, and that's why I study what we study. It's going to be revolutionary, but it's also going to be systematic. But there are going to be a lot of moving parts. So this might be a time where you want to grab a pen and paper because we're going to talk about freedom. And anytime we talk about freedom, it's going to get a little complicated, but the argument will hold up because it's what I do. Some people knit, I do this. Yes.
Hold up before you start talking about freedom.
Yes.
Take a moment, give people some time to roll in.
All right.
So I wanted to mention to you before the show that Lyft has decided that on election day, they will give free rides to the polls.
To the polls. That's good PR. That's making. Lyft is not doing it because it cares about your vote, people. Lyft is doing this. Lyft is doing this as a PR strategy. And you know what? Okay,
we'll take advantage of it.
I'll take it. We'll take advantage of that.
Because that means people can actually vote on their on lunch hours.
Yes. No, that's how it came about, and this is important because this is also going with police. How it came about historically might be irrelevant because it could be independently justified, right? So why Lyft is doing this? Because they want PRs and they're scared of the taxi cab lobby. Yes. But it can be independently justified insofar as people need rides to the polls, right? People need rides to the polls, and the obstacle to getting to the polls is a problem for democracy. So while it arose for a dicey historical reason, Lyft just wants a tax break or whatever. Hold on. So do the Lyft drivers still get paid?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Lyft drivers still get paid. So yeah, it's great PR for Lyft, but it can be independently justified and legitimized. So good things can happen for bad reasons if you know what good reasons look like. What's going on here? All right. Tree Man. All right. If you are a local, if you're in Athens or in the area, I suspect Tree Man delivers. Tree Man will remove your tree and stump. He's licensed and bonded, so he paid a lot of extra fees, and as a black man, that means something. And he's closed for the Sabbath. Hold on, but he's open Sunday, so he's Jehovah's Witness. Is that what that means? Is that Jehovah's Witness? I think that's... All right, so I'm reading this card right now. So he says he's closed for the Sabbath, but he's open Sunday through Friday. Or Seventh-day Adventist.
That would be Saturday.
Yeah, so he's closed for the Sabbath, but I don't think he's a Jew. So, so he's the ones who don't do things on Saturdays.
That's Seventh-day Adventist.
That's Seventh-day Adventist. So that means he's a Seventh-day Adventist. That's good. Seventh-day Adventists are really clean too. They're like Mormon. They don't do the caffeine.
And locally.
Do we got a 7? Tell the people.
And locally, you know, they were very involved with helping Broderick with the garden. Oh. They brought their kids down and helped work in that garden.
I don't have a problem with Seventh-day Adventists.
Yeah, no, I mean,
nobody ever. Seventh-day Adventists never called me nude. As Muhammad Ali said about the Viet Cong, I ain't got no problem with no Viet Cong. No Viet Cong never called me nude. So I don't have a problem with Seventh-day.
No. Actually, as I was thinking back, I was like,
Seventh-day Adventists.
I was Mormon as my youth, and I can't say that about Mormons.
I can't say that about Mormons. Can't say that about Mormons. Nope. All right, but so Tree Man, his name is the owner of the company is Chris Harper, and he will remove your trees and stumps, and he does grading. I might need this guy. I have some grading issues at my spot.
Hospitals and schools too.
No, grading as in like landscape.
No, I'm sorry, 7 days.
Oh, 7 days. They do hospitals. They do hospitals and
schools.
All right, well, that's good. Do they do all the procedures? Because, Catholics got hospitals too, but they do some procedures and they don't do others. All right, so his number, so it looks like the email is treemanharper. That's exactly as you would think it's spelled. treemanharper, that's TreemanHarper @gmail.com. And the number is 770-883-7026. Once again, that is 770-883-7026. He can remove your trees. He does tree stump removal and grading. And you know what? If he's that handy, I'm sure he does landscaping. And I suspect he's a flexible Negro.
I bet you can just call him and find out the additional things he'll do.
He does gutters.
You should do
that. Does gutters, remove, go fix your roof. Yeah, maybe paints. I don't know, but tree man. He's a tree man. His specialty is trees. I also think he can probably, do minor plumbing.
I mean,
yeah.
We're black. We claim one title.
I suspect he's a handy Negro. He might not do windows, but I know he probably knows somebody. So, all right, so Tree Man Harper. Give him some business. He's local. His name is Chris Harper, 770-883-72. I'll try it again. 770-883-7026. Tree Man Harper, remove your trees and stumps. And, ask him when he's around. He might be able to fix your lawnmower. All right, so we need police if we're going to be free. And think about all the reasons that you don't want to play pickup basketball, or why you don't want to watch professional basketball players play without referees. There's a way in which you can go harder and take chances because there's a referee. And there's a way in which your opponent doesn't mind you going harder and taking more chances because there's a referee. The referee allows both the players freedom. The referee allows both players, the player and your opposition, to be free enough to concentrate on doing their job and worrying about their interests, as opposed to worrying about the whole thing and the justness of the whole. Like Michael, you don't want to play Michael Jordan if Michael Jordan is calling his own fouls, right? Well, there's a reason. I think Zach Randolph. There's a reason why you want to watch Zach Randolph play, but you don't want him to also call his own fouls. You want him throwing elbows. Let someone else call the fouls. That's someone else's job. You want Zach Randolph to be worried about Zach Randolph and maybe his team. That's what you want, and there's a reason you want it. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a more rigorous structure, because intuitively I'm right. Now I'm going to tell you why I'm right, so you'll be able to, debate this with your friends. Freedom has two aspects, right? Freedom has two aspects. There's a subjective aspect and an objective aspect. There's no graphics today because I spent a lot of time writing. It has a subjective aspect and an objective aspect. Now, the subjective aspect is what we talk about, freedom of the will. And this is about choice. A lot of people confuse this subjective aspect for all of freedom, but no, it's only one aspect of freedom. Just like basketball has offense, and defense. You can't just talk about offense. You have to talk about both. So subjective freedom is the one that gets a lot of play, but it doesn't. It's incomplete. It's one-sided. So freedom of the will is about choice. And how you know it's one-sided is if you're a vegetarian and you have a choice between chicken, beef, lamb, and fish, you ain't free. You got a lot of choices, though. So choice is a part of freedom, but it's not the whole thing. Yeah, Marcus, what's up?
I'm having a rough moment because I just took up pescatarianism, and you just listed the other meat I forgot I had given up, which was lamb.
Yeah, you've given up all the meats except for fish.
Yes.
Yes. And we're not close. We're kind of close to an ocean, but good luck with that.
No.
So you're vegetarian.
No.
With some tilapia.
No. Hey, salmon, tilapia is not even. I don't even know where. I'd never heard of tilapia until like 5 years ago.
Tilapia is not a natural. It's a fish we cooked up.
Yeah, like I feel like it came out of a lab somewhere. I didn't know what tilapia was before.
It's cheap though, so don't diss it because a lot of my people are black. So if they eat fish, they're eating their tilapia.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to season our food anyway.
All right. So, subjective freedom of the will is just about choice, right? And like it's folded into morality. And it's pretty much the question of, do you follow what you ought to do morally, like follow the law insofar as you respect the law and it's a respectable law, or do you follow your like base desires, right? At any point we have a choice between follow like the moral law, what we know we ought to do, or follow what we want, right? What we want. We know it's wrong, but we have a choice. And like we exercise our freedom and our power and our autonomy in choosing the right. Or sometimes we don't want to choose the right and I know I shouldn't have that hamburger, but I want the hamburger. And part of what it is to be an American and to be free is to sometimes, on occasion, from time to time, eat that hamburger because I want it. So if we didn't have choice, we wouldn't be free. For example, if you were allergic to alcohol, you're not free to have a drink, right? If it sends you into shock, you're not free to have a drink. Because you know that if you have one drink, you'll die. That's not choosing to not drink. That's not freedom to not drink. That's if I have a drink, I'll die. Right? Also, if you're an alcoholic and you're pathologically induced to drink when it's around, that's not freedom to have a drink anyway. You have a pathology that's driving you to drink. None of that's freedom. If it's going to kill you and you can't drink, you're not free not to drink. And if you can't help yourself but to drink because you're addicted, none of that's freedom. None of that's free to have a drink like when you want to because you freely choose to. You're not freely choosing anything. Freedom's about whether to be the capacity or choice. A free choice is about the ability to choose to do it. Choose whether you want to do it, not be compelled by your biology either way, right? And also, in order to push yourself, you also need in the back of your mind the option to quit. Because if it's like Speed, you remember that movie Speed with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock came out. I was working in a movie theater at the time, so it was in the 90s. I've had a lot of jobs. My first one. People are always surprised how many jobs. Would you believe I've been both hired for a lot of jobs and let go from a lot of jobs?
I like that you used the word "let go" this time.
I've been fired from a lot of jobs. And I've been hired and fired for so many jobs. I know that I can only get and retain a job that I'm like way overqualified for. I'm like, what? So, and I think I'm not the only Negro in this position who can only get and retain jobs that he's like laughably overqualified for. Oh, like a 13-year-old white kid and me doing the same job and like will last about the same amount of time. Yeah, what's up?
Luckily, you'll be being fired for different reasons.
Yes, I'll be fired for standing up for black people. Yes. Eventually it's going to come. So if you're working a job that pays what people of my background should be paid, they want you to be bad to black people really quickly. So like I last like a week or 2 weeks. If you work in a job that's way below my salary, it usually lasts a while before they expect you to be really bad to black people. And so that I'll always hit the same limit. The limit's going to be like, you want me to do what to what? To who? And like that's always going to be the limit of me getting of my tenure. But if a job is way overqualified, if I go for a job in which I'm way overqualified for, I can usually make it last a little bit longer. But if it's like a really nice job, pretty quickly, like usually within the first few weeks,
they're like, okay, so we need you to go fire the black guy.
Yeah, they need you to go fire the black guy. They need you like to treat the black people like garbage. They need you to like go give ghetto loans to black people. They need somehow like in your job description, because this is America, it's going to involve being disproportionately bad to black people, and that's going to be the point where like. See,
I'm impressed. I feel like I'm impressed that you think it'd be 2 weeks, because I'm still with.
What 6-figure job you know of that you could get that doesn't include being bad to black people, being disproportionately bad to black people?
I think the job is the same as Baldwin said about immigrants.
You last about 2 days before they call you new. Yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe computer programmer, but I don't even know that. At some point,
from home and don't interact with other people,
or like you find out, like you point out that the algorithm's racist because every time because it's like one of these Google algorithms like will steer you away from black, and then you point out that that's racist. And then like, well, turns out you're not a good fit for here.
And people are probably wondering why we're laughing.
Yeah, no, it's just the case.
We have to. It's the truth. Just what how it is. We know it.
All right, so you need to push. You need to be free in order to push yourself. Someone just said, "What happened?"
Somebody just said, "Follow the black people." Follow the black people around the store. See your job description. I feel like I'm being an extra distraction today. Like Ivy has put a lot. I'm seeing a lot of notes here.
I got a lot of notes, but it's okay. It's okay. We got
okay,
time.
So we gonna go.
We got time. Plus, this is like heavy, so I want people to be able to get through it. So, in order to push yourself, you need to, in the back of your mind, have the option to quit, or it becomes like Speed, that movie with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, where they got to keep the bus going 60 miles an hour, or the whole thing blows up. That's not. Let's see if I can keep this bus going a mile an hour. That's not pushing yourself. That's if I don't do this, the whole world explodes. That's different. So that's like stress pushing you. That's other things. That's external stress. So in order to actually push yourself, you need to be free to quit. So in order to for freedom to be excellent, so freedom comes from engaging that tension between the ability to quit and the righteousness of not quitting. That's where freedom comes from. That's what freedom as choice, subjective freedom comes from. Excellence comes from engaging that tension and coming out on the right side of it. And then practicing coming out on the right side of it. So you need the tension. That's why angels, and Kant is clear about, angels aren't free. They can only do what's right. That's not the freedom of choice. Angels aren't free. Yes?
Which was very much their point, is that, we have to do what's right. We have free will.
Yeah, point the mic towards you.
Oh, we have free will.
They don't.
They don't.
They can only do what's right. And so, there's a difference. So, and our excellence comes from engaging that tension and, pushing ourselves to do what's right, trying a little bit harder, although we know we can quit. All right, so my dad's Ghanaian, so I played soccer. But I always had this internal inhibition. Not always. I got over it when I got slower. When I was faster, it didn't matter because I can get around it because I was agile. But as I got older, I became slower. So my internal inhibition actually, I had an internal inhibition about going hard to the ball, going hard with the ball, and really using my body to get in front of someone else in the ball. It was internal because it made me. I wasn't like a dainty player, but I didn't get a lot of cards, right? I wasn't the guy who got a lot of cards, a lot of fouls. That wasn't me. I was fast, I was agile, I could do a lot of things. Plus, I saw the field very well, I created lanes. So, I was a good person to have on your team. But, it wasn't because, I was a terror in the box and I'd, get out. And some guys, and women actually, because my cousin played for the U.S. national team back in the 06 through 08 or 05 through 08 or something like that. Tina Frimpong, now she's Tina Ellerton. Anyway, that's my cousin. She was one of those people who goes in like a bowling ball and everyone else is pins.
This suddenly makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
That was you then.
That was me then. Yeah.
You're not that guy.
I'm not that guy. I got slow and now I just push people.
You're not that guy now.
No, I don't have time for that. Plus, I'm not agile and I don't change direction. Something happens like mid-30s, you don't want to change directions anymore because like knees and hips, and so I don't change directions and I just don't play that game. So some people go in like a bowling ball, and everyone else is a pin, and they just, and at the end they got the ball and there's a goal. I wasn't that guy. I got my goals through other ways, and I got a lot of assists for reasons. But that was an internal barrier that made me a worse soccer player, right? The people who don't have that internal barrier are better soccer players, right? So people who say that, well, we don't need cops, we just need everyone controlling themselves. I'm like, well, no. On one side, you get Anarchy because they don't control themselves. 2, on the other side, you get me pre-32, right? When I lost a few steps, right? And everyone's like controlling themselves because they're trying to do 2 things. They're both trying to like have their particular interest, which is score the goal, and also look out for everyone, including the other team. That's not freedom in a way. That internal barrier is actually a problem for excellence and freedom. So having a referee frees up the player to take chances, 1, and 2, take chances. Maybe be a little bit dirty, but like for the most part, take chances. And that's a good thing for the game, right? And I'm going to use a lot of sports analogies because we live in a market society that's run by competitive markets. So it actually, the analogy works very well, right? We don't want individual businesses. I don't want Lyft worried about what Uber's going to do. I don't want Lyft looking out for Uber. Like looking out for Uber's best interest. That's not good for the market.
Well, and we've seen this. I mean, in industries like take video games, the resale value of video games is now agreed upon by the stores.
So everything goes up.
Yeah. So they're buying games cheap and reselling them to people expensive.
And that's
what happens when you let businesses worry about each other. They rig the damn system. They're like, oh, profits. Yeah,
we get exploited. So the market works with everyone actually. Market freedom works with everyone actually worried about their particular interest, not their competitors.
Which is why we don't believe people who say we should deregulate everything.
No, because they'll go in cahoots.
Yes,
and exploit us. Right. So we don't want particular interests worried about either other particular interests or the whole. We want them worried about their particular interests. And that's fine as long as we have someone who is policing the whole. Right? So the point is that if choice is removed and you're forced to be an angel, either by the fear of disproportionate harm or stigma, like, for example, imagine if there was 1 foul in basketball, like I said. 1 foul and you're gone for the whole season. Like, that would fundamentally change the game into something that would be unwatchable almost. That would be.
I mean, can we make that happen for football so that, like, we can stop killing black boys?
Well, yeah. What you have is flag football then.
Yeah.
What you have is flag football. You don't want defensive linemen in charge of calling their own offsides. That makes sense, and I have a note like later on about that makes as much sense. There's a reason why you don't want, like, if you're in a race, like a professional race, like an Olympic race, you don't want one of the people saying ready, set, go. Like, no, you want them worried about like about to explode out the line. You don't want them also calling when the race should begin. Like, you want them worried about their particular interest. So now objective freedom, I talked about subjective freedom, and that's choice. Choice. The choice between doing what's right, and this is like catches on the morality really easy. Choice between doing what's right and choice between doing what you might want to do. And since we're all infallible, the ability to make mistake and confuse one for the other and not be like horribly punished, right? Because that's what would happen if you had 1 foul in basketball. Even people who didn't like foul flagrantly would be scared to like make a move. because they might make a mistake. We're all fallible. That's subjective freedom. Objective freedom, and this is where it gets interesting because we're no longer talking about choice, but the objects in the world that you choose. I'll go back to my vegetarian example. My vegetarian who has a choice between, meat, fish, cow, steak, fish, chicken, and lamb, right? They have a choice between all of that, but they're still not free because they aspire to be a vegetarian. So objective freedom concerns the ability to have the options among which you choose reflect who you are. So it's not enough to have choice. You need to have the options somehow reflect who you are. And it concerns the stability of the world because objective freedom is what allows you to make plans. Right? You need a stable world to make plans. This is one of the problems with being black in America, especially being a black descendant of slaves. Your world is not stable.
Welcome to the party, white people. You're experiencing that right now with
some white people.
Donald.
Some white people.
Some white people are experiencing that with Donald Trump.
Yeah. That's his black life. Yeah. It's not stable. He's erratic. He's horrible. Yeah, so are you. I'm just too polite or scared of your instability to tell you.
Because if we tell you how unstable you are, we get shot.
Yeah.
Like you call the police. I raised my voice.
Donald Trump isn't more crazy than you are. We just let you think he is. Like he's just white people to us. He's just regular white people. Like he's white people if we're not super polite.
He's honest.
He's honest. He's honest white people.
That's the worst part of him. They're all like, "That's not how we are," and we're like, "Well, but
you have to be around. You have to. The way you have to watch yourself around Donald Trump because he's so erratic and he might fire you is the way we have to watch ourselves around you. All right. So Donald Trump is just like, I don't have to change my behavior around Donald Trump. He's just regular white people to me. Like that's how you have to change your behavior around Donald Trump. We don't, because yeah. So Donald Trump is what he is. So yeah, you can't make plans if you're not objectively free because the world isn't stable anymore, right? People are breaking contracts and plans whenever they want to. There's some things you can't do without enforced rules. For example, what happens when you want to play basketball, but the person you're playing with doesn't want to dribble anymore? They just stop feeling like it. They don't want to dribble anymore. They just want to hold the ball and run up to the basket and score, right? You're not playing basketball anymore because part of what it is to play basketball is to be able to predict that your opponent is going to, with somewhat good faith, or at least with enforced behavior, abide by the rules. Or, for example, what happens when you take away the referees in a game? Two things. Either it turns into anarchy and fouls are all over the place, or everyone becomes so timid that nobody plays defense. And that's not a game. That's why you don't want to play. You don't want nobody would watch a professional basketball game without referees. Because the players won't go hard, they won't play defense, and you'll get the All-Star game, but whatever. So you can't play the game and worry about the other people's well-being at the same time. Yeah. Okay, and start playing defense. Yeah, and then that's how you get hurt.
Yeah, you go there. Don't you know this is not the real game?
Yeah, that's a good way to get hurt. Like you're hurting other players. Like, no, man. You're too serious. But if you want to actually see a serious game, you need referees so that everyone can be individually worried about their business. Their business. And we have a society that runs on marketing, so we have to get this right. So the issue is that as a player, you have to worry about your particular interest. And as a referee, you have to worry about the justness of the whole game. Right? Now, if you try to do both at the same time, you're not fully interested in if you're a player trying to do both at the same time, you're not fully interested in your particular interest. And you'll be less good. It will be a less good basketball game, and you'll be a less good basketball player. And I talk about Zach Randolph, blah, 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 blah. So for objective reason, I need to coerce enough stability so that I can make predictable plans. without like random rule changes or without random people, without other people deciding of their free will that they're going to not abide by the rules. Like I need you to show up when you're going to show up. In a world, I need contracts and we're going to contracts. I need like vows to mean something. And if the rules of the world are always in flux, then I'm not objectively free. I can't play anything. I still have freedom of will. I can choose to do the right thing, but it doesn't work. But I need the world to play along. For example, I could train. I think, the 1980 Olympics are actually a great example of this, right? So you had people who trained and trained and trained and had and used their subjective will, right, to always like get up early, and although they wanted to sleep in, and they trained and trained and trained and did everything right, subjectively, but the world didn't play along. Depending on who you talk to, the world is contingent. Jimmy Carter said the U.S. couldn't go to the games. So you had a lot of people who didn't get to go to the Olympics. And, you're only an elite athlete for so many years. So either they made it to 84 or they didn't go to the Olympics. And there's a way in which they weren't free, objectively, because the world didn't play along. They made all the right choices, but that's not enough. Their subjective freedom isn't like the robust kind of freedom we want because the world didn't play along.
And this is kind of the talk that we have with young black men all the time.
Right.
That look,
you can do all the right
things and still lose.
Yeah. So your choices, and a lot of people, I'm one of those guys who blames black people last. Just make no mistake, there's a whole industry in blaming black people first, especially black men. I blame black people last, especially black men. So you can make all the right choices and still it not work out because the world doesn't play along with black people. So we need the cops to secure the regularity of the world, because if we try to do so and people say like, no, there are other countries. Yeah, those other countries aren't as free. They have like huge stigma that's attached with doing the wrong thing. So they're not as individually free. They're like, and so if we don't want robots or people who are determined by huge amounts of stigma, then if we want individual freedom, then we need cops to secure like some sort of stability in the world, right? Because if we want freedom and creativity, individual freedom and creativity, we have to kind of let the internal controls go a little bit. We need to allow people to take chances. And the problem is, if we have cops who, instead of looking out for the whole, look out for the particular interests or a particular side, that's the equivalent of having a corrupt ref or a hometown ref. And that's a problem. So the problem with cops is twofold. If they have a particular interest, they're like hometown refs who want to go for one side and not the other. And since we're talking about cops, not refs, that means they'll go for the owners or go for the business or go for the white people, whatever, and not for the other. And just like players can't have an interest in the whole while chasing down their particular interests, without screwing up their particular interests, cops can't look out for the whole while having a particular interest in society. So there's a reason why like cops having side businesses is a little bit dubious. Because you can't enforce the law and have a side business. And there's also the bigger structural problem that even if cops don't have a particular interest as an individual, the entire apparatus is controlled by, emerged as like an arm of white supremacy. So if the society is unjust, that means even cops who are looking to preserve the sanctity of that society are looking to preserve the unjustness. So they could be looking out for the whole, but the whole is garbage. But the whole ain't looking out for us. It's like a lion could be looking out for the whole pride, but we as gazelles.
Exactly.
So that doesn't mean they're looking out for us, right?
You do not let the lion be the king of the jungle
no.
and expect the gazelles to be safe.
Yes, exactly, right? No, that's fine. The lion could be looking out for the whole jungle, which includes you getting ate.
Yeah.
So we need cops. And so now we've talked about how we need cops. We need cops so that we have so that we can be free in our particular interest to chase our particular interests without internal inhibitions without internal inhibitions. But we also need a secure world the objective world to be secure so that we can make plans in that world so that we're not all just subject to the flux of that world, and we need that to be secure. And insofar as that world deals with other people, we need other people to behave a certain way, or at least be expected to behave a certain way with controls, right? And so that's why we need cops. That's also why we need 5 pals, not 1 or infinite. We need 5. 5 is a good number to balance the freedom of the individual players to take chances, and also the stability of the game, so it just doesn't turn into like bruiser ball or playing the Detroit Pistons in the 80s. So
that really was dumb.
There's a specific demographic of my people who know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm not talking about just you, Bill Lambier. But I'm from Los Angeles, so like this is all very vivid in my mind for a variety of reasons. So also why we need to protest cops. All right, so we said why cops could be justified. Why we need to normalize protesting cops is, one, we live in an unjust society. So while they're either looking out for their particular interests as white people, white cops, or looking out for the cops' interests as a function of white supremacist society, as a black person, it doesn't matter because these cops are still going to do you dirty. We need to protest the cops, but to protest the cops, the goal of protesting the cops is to communicate the unjustness of the application of the institution, not to try to abolish the institution. Once again, as black people, we have a hard time communicating our message in a way that people listen to. So we need to be very creative, and we need a society that allows us to be very creative in how we communicate our message. Because there's a lot of people who get paid good money to ignore ignore justice claims of black people. So we can't just write a sternly worded letter because it won't get published. So we need to get out in the street sometimes, and we need to shut some stuff down sometimes to communicate our justice claims. So we need to protest cops insofar as cops are unjustly penalizing and terrorizing black communities, because we need to communicate our message. If there were other ways to communicate our message, I wouldn't say shut it down. But there aren't enough other ways to effectively communicate our message, so we're going to have to, from time to time, shut it down. Not because we want to abolish the police officers without qualification, but because they're going to have to change their practices to secure justice for the whole and not just secure the stability of an unjust regime.
And we need the ways to support that shutting it down. Right. We need the media.
We need the media.
We need our media.
Because the goal is communication. The goal isn't necessarily to shut it down when we want to shut down, especially businesses. No, but the goal is to communicate the righteousness of our cause. And you only listen when we stop things from working. We got to put our bodies on the gears of the machine, as Savio said.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that I see people so often talk about how, well, Dr. King wouldn't have done that. I'm like, the man actually walked in the streets. We saw this in Atlanta during some of the protesting up there. They were like, oh, that's not how Dr. King will handle it. I'm like, they're marching in the streets. Yeah. That's exactly how Dr. King would handle it.
Yeah, and the knee with the, this is all Colin Kaepernick's not trying to destroy football, and he's not trying to destroy America. He is trying to communicate a message about unjust policing and the terrorizing of black people in America. Right? So that's very important. It's important to protest the police. And that doesn't mean you want to abolish it.
And the fact that they've made it about the vets. It was a vet who told him, hey, don't just sit out, take a knee.
Take a knee. Take a knee. No, it's because the goal is, how do we effectively communicate the severity of our message? I have ideas. And I'm a decent communicator, and sometimes people get in their way about my communication. But that, you have to.
No. Oh, by the way, did we mention you're back in Facebook jail?
I'm back in Facebook jail.
yeah.
I'm back in Facebook jail.
Less than a week out.
I'm doing another 30-day bin in Facebook jail. I got my other account, IME other. So I'm going to need you to tell everybody about this video. How long are we going? 39. Oh, good. So I'm going to need you to tell everyone about this video. I'm providing a service here. I really am providing a service here. I spent a lot of time putting this together. I spent a lot of time putting this together. These are ticklish issues. And now you'll be able to talk about the difference between subjective freedom, that's freedom of the will, choice, and objective freedom, that's like the stability around and having options in the world that allow you to choose options that allow you to actually like make plans and be who you are. You'll be able to talk about things in a more robust way because of the work I'm doing. So if you support the work I'm doing, which I think you should and you do, I need you to tell all your friends. I need you to send this to your listservs, post this on your Facebook because I can't from my main account. And I need to send this on Twitter. Your next Bible study, maybe you should talk about this. I mentioned Adam and Eve in the beginning when I was talking about freedom of the will. I should have. So like one good way of talking about freedom of the will and subjective freedom is like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, right? So that's one way to talk about it. Do you do what you know is right, or do you do what you want, and then whatever? But you're infallible. So like that's one way to talk about it, and also talk about the limits of choice. As like you can't just talk about freedom of the will and think you're talking about all of freedom, because choices among awful options is not freedom. And that's a very important point. If all of the options are alienating you, or like I have many jobs, I have a choice of many jobs. All of them include treating black people like garbage. That's not freedom. Freedom is being able to work a really good job and not treat black people like garbage. That would be freedom. Real freedom, I think.
Oh, wow.
Not even I think. It's just, I laid out the cases. I'm not confessing any intentions to you. I'm just telling you how freedom works. Go to funkyacademic.com, become a member. Sign up for $5, $15, or $50 a month. That would be great because we're trying to build, and I'd like to pay Matthew a little bit more, and like I'm trying to get a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of moving parts, but I'm trying to get a laptop for the team. So if you just want to donate $1,000 for laptop and software, that'd be helpful too. So just donate $1,000 for me to get laptop and software for so that the print newsletter can happen easily. So it's not all just me at home doing it. I can farm some of this work out because I want to train other black people to do it, but they don't have money for a laptop and software. So I can't give all my stuff out. Like can't give everything for free. So plus I don't have a ton of money. So if you could call this the fundraiser. If you're watching at home, get me $1,000 for laptop software and some other stuff, and like that would take the edge off a lot of my life.
My brain is thinking that I use GoFundMe for so much stuff.
Yeah, why? It's because this is when you're broke. Like I'm trying to get the message out, right? For example, there's a football game tonight at the local high school. It'd be great if this would have been done, so I could have handed the newsletter out at the football game to all the black families watching their youngest or their cousin like careen into each other. So I would have liked to do it, but I'm busy, so I'd like to hire other people. Except I want to pay other people, and other people don't have all the equipment. So like I want to get the other people the equipment and pay them, so that I can spread the word and so that we can be made whole. All right. So thank you for your time and consideration. Matthew, you're doing the show next week.
Yeah.
Matthew is doing the show next week. It's going to be fantastic. Give Matthew the microphone for a little bit, for a second. Can you give a coming attraction?
Yeah, totally. I'll wait for the.
You move the whole thing.
Yeah.
There you go, Matthew.
Hey guys, I'm back. I'm officially back. I'll be doing a show about affirmative action next week and how it's sort of like moved away from being for black people towards white women mostly. So it'll be an interesting show. I'll try to make it fun as possible, and looking forward to it.
I just read something about that very game.
Yeah, no, white women win the affirmative action game.
Yeah.
It started out being LBJ about us, but then like now it's like about contractors' wives. like that. Yeah, that's done. All right. So thank you. And next week it's Matthew putting it down. Like you don't sleep on Matthew. You have to understand. My first semester, he was my best student. Like the guy is smarter. Like I'm older now. He is going to be a monster coming out of the gate. Like you might be looking at the first black male governor of Georgia. So like, I don't know. I don't know. Like he's that smart. So let's do this. tell your friends. It's the Matthew Show next week, 4 o'clock.
You want to do Haven Businesses?
Oh, Haven Businesses, yes. Yeah, do you have that? Good. All right, so Haven Business, I have partnered with Haven Business Services, and they are a union print shop in town. So you don't need to go to Kinko's, you don't need to go to Office Max, you don't need to go to Belgium, you don't need to go to
certainly don't need to go to Belgians. They close their shop to punish their people.
Yeah, you don't need to go to anybody else to get your print needs done. Your church bulletins, he's got the, oh yeah, I need the card. Yeah. Your church bulletins, your posters for your hip hop shows, your booklets for your. Look, if you're any sort of business, and you can actually the camera's got enough battery now. Is there a battery in the camera? Yeah. So yeah. So if you're any sort of business and you need any sort of printing, you should call Haven first. And the runner is Asenica Willis. Asenica, he is also our associate producer. And Asenica, that's ASYNAKA at Haven Group, that's HAVEN Group, GROUP.org. Asenica at havengroup.org. And should I give the office number?
Oh, yeah, no, for free.
Okay. All right, give the office number and call them at 706-850-3317. Once again, that's 706-850-3317.
And it's not just printing. It's web design, which is done by Matthew. He's amazing at what he does.
Right.
So it's a bunch
all
of
your business
services.
needs. We even have a black business consultant or a small business consultant, or if you're a big business and you want to do business with black business consultants, we contract with Enlightened Media Productions, which is Broderick Flanagan's group, which will hook your big white business with black subcontractors, because when your big white business started, the Klan kind of took care of all of the other black businesses. But now you want to be better about that, and you want actual black subcontractors, but you don't know any black people because for reasons. And so you want a black business to deal with. You go with Enlightened Media Productions. Broderick Flanagan, whose studio I run the show out of, will hook you up with a black business of your needs, like he knows them all, and will help mediate the relationship. Yeah. So Broderick Flanagan at Enlightened Media Productions, Asenica Willis at Haven Business Services. Haven Business Services. And they're a union printer. That is a union printer. They're part of the Teamsters, IBT. So a union printer in Athens, Georgia. So you really shouldn't be going with anyone else. And they have either competitive or below market rates, because we are a hungry business. Yes.
And the website is coming. I have recognized I'm not going to do it, so I'm going to go ahead and let Matthew knock that out.
Very good. But Matthew costs money, because he's
good at what he does.
He's good at what he does.
Deserves to be paid.
So yeah. All right. Very good. Thank you for your time and consideration. I hope you've learned a lot. I hope you share this video, because I went over a lot of very important things. We need cops. We also need to protest cops. Peace.